Stuttgart, Germany, Reilly Hennessey.
Boom.
There he is. What's up,
Thanks for
right
having me,
guy?
guys. Not much, Nick Guy. Thanks for having me on the European League of Surge podcast, man.
Oh my gosh, I'm gone.
I saw that. I
Well,
saw that comment. I
we've
laughed.
rebranded a little bit. We've rebranded. You know, I'm not ashamed of my biases. Everybody has biases. So, right guy, let's talk a little ball. You're back in Stuttgart. The first thing, man, people were talking about you retiring. You're going to be done with football and not come back. What made you change your mind and decide to come back and play another year in the ELF and for the Stuttgart Surge?
Yeah, people. I mean, people was me. I thought I was done. I was mostly just physically felt like I was gonna be done. But it's crazy what 8 to 12 weeks does of no football and truly of taking time and trying to get your body just feeling as good as it possibly can. And it was after that it was like, man, I still have this football itch that needs to be scratched. And Coach Newman obviously is renowned for his recruiting and did a great job of being patient, I'll say. He had his options lined up, and fortunately for me, things fell through with a few people, and so he came back and kind of gave me the "Are you sure?" and had a conversation with my family and my girlfriend and a couple doctors, and decided that it's safe and okay to come back. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but yeah. So that's how we got back.
That's I would be
Right,
be curious to know to pick your brain more on this idea in the future, because I've kind of had similar thoughts, and I will say, I like a full season is like, there's no way I would do a full season. Maybe if I was a quarterback, but as a skill player, like, nah, there's no way I got a full season in me. But I definitely could see like hopping over for a couple games, just for the fun. But yeah,
Definitely. No, I mean, even going from GFL to ELF, it was a transition of going back to those college days where you're playing 11 games in 12 weeks, and that's just what you did. And you come over and play in some of those domestic leagues, and you've got 3 bye weeks, and it's like you take those for granted once you get back, and it's like, no, it's 14 games or 12 games in 14 weeks, and but you snap back into it, as you know, and you almost begin to appreciate that redundancy of just your schedule and your habits that fall into place each week.
Yeah.
There you go, right guy. Coming into the Surge last year, obviously the previous year the team was 0-12, and so coming in last year, there weren't these big expectations. I think a lot of people thought, okay, the Surge are going to be better. They've got Jordan Newman, they've got Reilly Hennessey, they've got some of these other guys coming. Thought the Surge are going to be better, but I don't think that most people expected the Surge to make it to the championship game. Now, coming into this year, there are way higher expectations for you, for the team, for the Surge as a whole. How do you feel about that going into the season now with more, let's say, external expectations? How do you deal with that mentally?
Cliche, you just try not to think about it. I mean, we're focused on, we had practice last night. I'm mad because I felt like the defense beat us last night. And that's the only thing I think about. And we don't really focus on outside. I mean, Coach Newman does a great job of making sure we stay focused on just becoming the best team possible, whether that's practicing together, whether that's, having a team meal together, whether that's just hanging out, whether that's recovering together, whatever it is, we're just focused on being the best 2024 Surge that we possibly can. And so it's, of course, piggybacking off of last year's season. It's great, but again, the benefits of that are only that we have a few more familiar faces that and more importantly, you trust. Hardest part about a team is just creating and maintaining trust in everybody, and that's not done through words; it's done through actions. And so that's what we're in the process of doing. And hopefully, we get to do that 12 times throughout the year to get everybody else to trust us. So it's kind of that every year is that new process, and every year it's a brand new team essentially, and we're adding pieces and trying to figure out the best. I guess what is it, 46 this year now? A few additions, 46 guys that we can roll in each week and give us the best chance to win.
Reilly, what was it like playing in that championship game?
Awesome. It was the coolest football experience I've had in my life. And
it was the coolest football experience you've had in your life. You just said that?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Dang,
I hold the Italian football championship very close to my heart, because that was my first championship, and I did it with a group that I was extremely close to. So that meant a lot to me. But that championship game there, walking into a stadium where every single seat was taken and going up against a team that you had to play your best football against, and regardless of the outcome, just to be on that stage and to have earned the right to be there was, that's probably my most proud achievement thus far.
That's amazing, man. Amazing.
Attaboy, Reilly, I've asked you this before, like in interviews in the past, but for our audience here of the ELF live show, I've got the chance, we got to play together. And I've always been very impressed with your leadership abilities. Of course, the quarterback always has to, just kind of by default be a leader, but some do it better than others. I'm very impressed with how you are a leader kind of on and off the field. Can you talk a little bit about maybe your leadership style?
Yeah. I am a guy who I've actually yet to give it this year, but I give it pretty much every year, especially to receivers. I'm a guy that's going to be emotional. I'm going to, when something needs to be fixed, I'm going to say it. And you might not always love the way you say it, and I'll be the first to apologize. But especially with them, like, I'm going to get on you, but the second later, I'm going to forget about it. And if the next play, the play is designed to go to you, or you're the guy that gets open on that play, you're getting the ball. There's no hard feelings. And so I would certainly consider myself demanding, but it's only because we've all signed up to take this thing in the same direction. How else would I describe it? I kind of touched on it earlier about building trust through action. Like, it's great to say, hey, trust me. Hey, I'll be there. Hey, I'm going to be open. And it doesn't come through words, unfortunately. And so I'm a big building trust through action repeatedly. And look, we play this sport where you get to play a game 12 days a year. So you better fall in love with practicing. And that's the way we're going to build the trust. That's the way we're going to perfect the trust. And that's the way we're going to execute the trust. And so my leadership, if I had to narrow it down, is just about building trust and finding ways to do that amongst a group of men who are, in all sorts of walks of life. And I think football is probably the best sport in the world for doing that.
That's awesome, man.
Good answer, quarterback. Very quarterbackial.
Thanks, man. A lot of practice on the imported pod.
On the imported pod.
Hey, imported pod, shout out. Right, guy, I do have another question.
Yeah.
You've got three of the
flower
top
hat
wide receivers. Lewis Geyer, Darrell Stewart, and Yannick Meyer. Three of the top receivers. Some might say like the best receiving core in the league. Can you talk a little bit about these guys and their different receiving styles? I mean, they're all different players. They have different strengths. Can you talk a little bit about them as wide receivers?
Yeah, sure. Now, watching you guys make your lists, I kind of made my own lists, and I don't think it's fair to. I made two lists: an American list and an E list, and of course, I got DJ at the top
Okay.
of the A list because I played against him when he was in Dresden, and then now being fortunate enough to play with him. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. I mean, he's great. He's great against any type of defense you want to put him against. And there's nothing more comforting than knowing that you got a guy that it really doesn't matter if they've got their A corner play a man on him. It's like we feel like that's a win for us. Then I got my E list, and of course, call me biased, call me whatever you want, but Lewis and Yannick are on that list for me, both for very different reasons. Lewis is a guy that just loves the details, and he wants to know when he needs to be open, what my progression is, I would say the biggest thing he's getting really good at is knowing when to get open. It's great to know how to get open, and he's really kind of got that down, but when to get open. Hey, when do you need me open? And that's that level of detail that Lewis is paying attention to. And then you got Yannick, who watch anybody turn on a Surge game, and I promise you he jumped over somebody, and the guy was not on the ground. And it's like to have a guy like that. And as quarterback, I always say the definition of my job is to just get the athletes the ball. Like I am in no way part of that group, and I just get to throw things, and they get to do the cool stuff. So Yannick is just that spark plug that you need. And so that tandem, those three guys, it's like pick your poison. How do you want to move the ball down the field? And so that makes my life really easy, and those guys do a great job. I can't. A huge reason why I came back, knowing that those guys were going to be a part of it.
Attaboy, right? I'm curious, who else was on your receiver list? Both the A list and the E list. Who do you got?
Ooh. Some of the same. I got Jarvis on there, so the chat can be happy. I got Roby on there. One guy that you guys didn't mention is Weston Carr in Vienna, a guy that I actually played against for 2 years in college. Vienna doesn't get credit for being sexy offensively, but that's a guy that can also do it all. I mean, he gave Mitch Fettig a couple tough reps in our game against them, and he's just a big, long, bouncy guy that is just a good football player. And then I got Markel and DJ on that A list. You can't make a list without those guys. Also, shout out to Willie P, Washington State guy. That's another one of those spark plug pieces. My E list, we got Mahungo, we got LG, Lewis Geyer, Harlan Quofi. You guys nailed that. And then kind of this athlete category as well with Yannick, Jordan Boa, and Wilsek. Those kind of round out my E guys.
Yeah.
And all for very different reasons, which is the beauty of making those lists. You can make a case for just about anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A strong list there, right, guy? I like that. You're a good list maker.
Yeah, I like lists, groceries, everything. Car keys, wallet, phone,
Any sort.
9
Hey,
yards.
you mentioned Vienna. You touched on him real quick before we let you go. Their new quarterback. I did a podcast with him yesterday, Ben Holmes. I was quite impressed with him just personally. Have you gotten to see much tape on him, and do you know about him as a quarterback at all?
I have not. I made it about 10 minutes into your podcast at the gym, and then had to go, and so haven't been able to finish it. But I plan to finish it because I do like hearing those guys' stories.
You turned off my podcast in the middle of it?
Not by choice. No, my locker wouldn't open, so I needed to take the headphones out to get my valuable belongings. but it'll get finished.
Okay.
But
That's okay.
no, there's also, man, there's all sorts. I was thinking about this today. There's all sorts of guys that I'm excited to see, and it's always a fun curve to watch guys who are, dominant in the U.S. come over here and either continue to dominate or struggle. And the only way you get to know that is by watching the games. And that's one of my favorite things about playing, certainly in this league, is if we're playing on a Sunday, I get to sit down with some of my teammates on a Saturday and watch the other guys, and vice versa if we play on a Saturday. And so I'm very much a football nerd and a football geek, and so any game I can get my hands on, I'm watching. So yeah, I can't comment on it, but I'll certainly have my own opinions that I won't put on a podcast by the end of the year, I'm sure.
Do you think that you'll do kind of a farewell tour of the game, or are you going to just leave it open? Because that was something that was hard for me. I was like, do I like commit to just being done and then have a farewell tour type thing, or do I leave it open and then if I never play again, I never play again? Like it was hard for me to decide that, and like I still just think about that.
Yeah, I think this last off season, and really the entire season was my farewell. Even getting hurt, I was like, okay, well, I still think I'm done. And then obviously not, but what it taught me is that I don't think that you're ever going to be content. Like, even when you know that it's time, you're not going to be happy with that. You're going to be like, I could still do it.
Yeah.
And so,
I
don't think there'll ever be a time that you're like, oh yeah, no, it's right. It's right to be done. But, I think other things just become more important or more prevalent, and you start putting your energy towards those.
Yeah. Now you're going to think about
Way to
this.
go. Right, guy. Way to go, man. Before
I just
we
read
we
this.
have to give a special shout out from the chat from Pat Hennessey, Reilly's dad, who was laughing about his grocery list joke, which was a very good classic Hennessey style joke. So shout out from your dad there in the chat, right, guy?
Who gave that guy internet?
Pat Hennessey. Hey, he's great on the internet. We love you, Pat. Right, guy.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, man, for coming on the show. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, maybe we'll hang out in person, in a couple days.
Yeah, man.
Definitely. 40
minutes away, and I never see you. So
classic now.
Hey, you have my number right here. Hey, text me on Quiver. All right, I'll see you on Quiver.
Yeah, I don't have it. It doesn't have a DM function yet.
Yeah, we don't have enough money for that, so we'll get there.
Quiver is about as delayed as Nick's voice this whole episode.
Thanks for having me, guys.
There we go.
Take care.
See you, bro.
See you.